In looking at powerful people, the person who talks less always gives off a greater aura of power than the people that are yabbering all the time, that are talking. This is the great thing about being a human being. You can do two things at once. Emotions are important. You're not going to write a book. You're not going to start a business unless you're excited, unless you have that emotional energy. So sometimes success when you're in your 20s is the worst thing that can happen to you. A lot of artists are what I would call a healthy narcissist. So a lot of our artists aren't necessarily the best people, right? They're not often, you wouldn't maybe want to be their friend. They're maybe not the most faithful person as far as a partner is concerned. But they put all of that narcissistic energy into their work, and they create beautiful things that contribute to humanity. Steve Jobs was not a very nice person, right? He was very aggressive. He was very assertive, and he was a control freak. But look what he created, okay? That's healthy narcissism. If you can't admit you're an alcoholic, how are you ever going to stop being an alcoholic? You first have to admit it. So if you want to stop being a narcissist, you have to get on your hands and knees and admit that you are a narcissist. Because if you deny it and you say everybody else is, if you can't look inward, how can you ever change that? And even the most saintly person on this planet, the Mahatma Gandhis, the Martin Luther Kings, they had definite, strong narcissistic tendencies. There are no saints in this world. Everybody have these tendencies. So get off your high horse, look inward, and see those traits that are narcissistic within you. This is the great thing about being a human being. You can do two things at once. You can be consciously playing the game of, I'm not going to outshine him because he or she's going to fire me because I'm going to make them feel insecure. But at the same time, in my head, I'm going, that person isn't better than me. They don't deserve their position. They're actually kind of incompetent and stupid. And someday, by being loyal and learning from them, I'm going to rise up. And I'm being smart because I'm a social animal. And then at that point, I can just say, get away from me. I don't need you anymore. I'm better than you. You can outshine them, but you play the game. But the worst thing is if you internalize it and go, I actually am inferior. I'm not going to outshine because I'm not a good person. I don't deserve it. And then you've internalized this sense of inferiority, and it's going to haunt you the rest of your life. So you can play both sides of the game at the same time. Everybody's an actor. When you're 3 years old, you're already acting, right? You're crying because you're trying to get your parents' attention. You're making trouble with your siblings because you're trying to get something that you want. You're learning to be manipulative. Children are very manipulative. Children are consummate actors. They learn that they can get what they want by behaving a certain way. If I'm an angel, mommy will give me this, that, and the other thing, even though I know I'm not an angel. We are a social animal, and we have words. We have language. And with words and language, we can say one thing and be another. We can lie. We can deceive. We are all actors. If everyone went around saying exactly what they felt about the other person, no one would ever get along. We would have killed ourselves off by now. You're always telling the boss the things that they want to hear. You're always telling your partner. You're always kind of hedging exactly what you feel. You're an actor. I don't understand what's so complicated about that. I don't understand why people can't see that they're every day of their life. And you're never the same with two different people. The way you are in front of your father, as you are in front of your son or in front of a colleague, you're a completely different person. Your jokes are different. Your body language is different. You're an actor. Okay? Some people are good at it. Some people aren't, but you're an actor. And I don't want you to go around thinking, God, it's great to be manipulative. It's great to just screw people over and get what I want and not care about them. No. But it's better to admit that you are capable of manipulation, that you do it often unconsciously and often in a passive-aggressive manner. It's better to admit it, and it's better to be able to play the game when you have to, like always say less than necessary. It's going to save you a lot of pain. You don't have to go around all your life practicing these things. I don't think you want to. In looking at powerful people, the person who talks less always gives off a greater aura of power than the people that are yabbering all the time, that are talking, that can't control their tongue. And the idea is, if you can't control your mouth, if you just keep talking and talking, it gives an aura to other people that you can't control anything else. You have no self-control. And that is a very unpowerful aura. And obviously, the more you talk, the more you are prone to say something kind of stupid and irrational that you're going to regret. And so powerful people know to command an audience. They sit there, they let other people talk and argue, and then occasionally they utter something that's maybe a little bit ambiguous. And it goes, whoa, that's very interesting. Robert said that. What does that mean? You look powerful, right? You give off an air of mystery. You give off an air of control. A lot of people have a hard time with it because they think, wow, shouldn't I just be able to say whatever I want and just talk? Well, no, you don't. Not in the social world, not in the work world. It's going to get you in trouble. Learn to control what you talk and learn that there are moments that saying less is actually much more powerful than just yammering on and on. This is the law of the jungle. When you're working, particularly in entertainment, in media, people take your work and they put their name on it. So like when you're watching a television show with some news broadcast, their jokes aren't their own. They didn't write those jokes. They have a team of people writing it. All those great facts that are coming up, a team of researchers are putting it there. You never hear their names. You never know who they are. They took their work and they put their name on it. That's the law of the jungle. And the law of the jungle is, don't get upset about it. It's part of the game. You know, I got upset when that happened. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything, but I got resentful. Nobody's recognizing my work. Whine. The adult, if I had been smarter, was, that's just how it is, Robert. Just calm down. At some point, people will see your screenplays or your books or whatever, and you'll be fine. But just, I'm trying to show you this is how the world operates, and don't be so naive and don't think it's not like that. So if you're an underling and you do the work, you don't want to take credit for it because it's going to get you in trouble, right? But powerful people have used for centuries the labor of other people and put their name on it to make themselves look powerful and to make them seem like they've got endless energy. Okay. So you have to apply that law with intelligence. If you're an underling and you're doing some project, it's a group project, don't go out there and take credit for it because people are just going to laugh at you and you're going to make a terrible fool of yourself. So every law has a context, you know, but that's powerful people use that law. And if you don't think that's how it operates, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain. Emotions are important. You're not going to write a book. You're not going to start a business unless you're excited, unless you have that emotional energy. So I'm not talking about stifling your emotions. That would be incredibly counterproductive and unpowerful. But there are emotions that are going to get you in trouble, particularly as a social animal. So it's not like you stifle your emotions. You learn how to channel and control them. And you learn that certain behaviors are going to be read as unpowerful, as hysterical, as somebody who can't get things done, as ineffective, incompetent. So as an actor, you learn to sort of present the right front, the right facade. And that requires a degree of emotional control. And it's not easy because when you're young, particularly, you're wired to be emotional, and you're going to learn this the hard way, which is how I learned it. I'm trying to teach you some lessons so maybe you won't make as many mistakes. But it's a hard thing you learn, and you learn it by the mistakes you make, by saying something foolish that costs you your job, by outshining the master that costs you your job. My wanting to be a writer, or Tiger Woods wanting to be a golfer when he's like 2 years old, there's probably some genetic component in it. And maybe there's some early bonding, but there's probably a genetic component to it. You can't control it. It's who you are. And maybe that you can't control it is a good thing. And maybe it's there for a reason. And maybe if you wanted to do something else, it wouldn't work out. So my knowing that I wanted to be a writer instead of, a businessman or a lawyer like my parents wanted to be probably saved my life, to be honest with you. So knowing what makes you different is kind of going to guide you past these
these dangerous moments in life and make you want to change who you are because you feel pressure, social pressure to change who you are.
Yeah.
Being aware of who you are, what makes you different, and being comfortable with it. And so you're going to have moments where you're not comfortable with it and you want to conform and you want to be like other people. And, you know, you went through that and I went through that in adolescence in particular, on through the 20s. You make some changes to things because you think it's cool, but you keep coming back. You keep coming back to being alone.
Mm-hmm.
You keep coming back to throwing the ball against the wall. You come back to these things because they're so strong in you.
Yep.
And you can't help it. And they give you relief and they give you comfort and they're who you are. And so it all comes down to, do you come back to these things or do you change because of the pressures of other people? And what is the difference? Why are some people like that and some people are not? And that's the $1 million question. What it meant to be human, we're a very creative species, right? We have language, we have consciousness, we have immense powers. Those powers developed under the pressures of necessity, of having to get things done, of having to survive in a very brutal, ruthless world where a leopard could pop out tomorrow and eat me, where there were dangers all around, where food was scarce. And under the pressure, we had to think, we had to be creative, we had to be inventive, we had to be strategic. The human brain evolved under immense amounts of pressure, okay? That's how the brain works. And I almost like to think of it in terms of barometric pressure. So in your brain, when you're feeling that barometric pressure, it's like, I got to get this done or I'm going to fail and this project won't happen and people will laugh at me. You work like a fiend. Energy, your whole body responds, right? Your blood gets moving. You accomplish things that would normally take you months. You do it in days because you feel that pressure. You take away that pressure and you don't know what to do. And I've got like 3 years, I could do this or that. Another, you just wander around, you're lost. You have no energy, you have no focus. You know, you're maybe playing video games, maybe you're watching porn, you're kind of distracting yourself in the moment. But your energy is just being dissipated in like 20 different directions. So your brain needs pressure. It needs constant pressure. And stress and pressure is not a bad thing. We have this thing where we feel like stress is bad. It's bad for you. Bad. You know, you need to relax, man. You need to chill. Stress will kill you. No, being bored will kill you. Not having anything to do will kill you. Is much more dangerous than stress. Yes, you can work too hard. You can work where there's no soul involved. So feeling that pressure, it makes your eyes pop open. It makes your brain focus. It makes you alert. It makes you want to live. It makes everything seem exciting to you because you've got to get things done. Create pressure for yourself is a good thing, you know? So sometimes success when you're in your 20s is the worst thing that can happen to you because you have no discipline. You have no perspective. You think it's just going to keep going the way it is. You're not aware of all the dangers out there. You don't have life experience enough to realize how things can turn on you very quickly. If I had been given the chance to write the 48 Laws of Power when I was in my 20s and I had success, it would have ruined me. I probably wouldn't have had success because I wasn't ready for it. I had had so much failure until I was essentially 39 years old, pushing 40. That I had perspective, that I know what it's like to fail. And so when I had success, it wasn't like, wow, I'm the greatest thing that ever happened. I can just live off this forever. My next book's going to be fantastic. No, I have a little voice in me that says, Robert, you failed so many times, you're probably going to fail again, right? You've seen so many people in Hollywood who started off hot and bombed. I had experience to know that I can't take this for granted. I have to be careful. I have to be strategic. I have to build on it and not let the success go to my head. If you can get drunk on your success, you know, and you want to keep your feet on the ground. You want to know that failure is nipping at your butts, that your next podcast, Chris, could be the worst one of your life. You'll say the wrong thing and suddenly everything will start cratering.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps you on the edge and you don't take your success for granted. So it's possible that somebody could have success in their 20s and they would be able to handle it. But it's probably because they had a family background or something behind it, some kind of experience behind it. Because by nature, we are always thinking that we're better than we are. Our self-opinion, I'm probably like this. I think I'm like this, right? Some people it's like this. The moment you have success, you think you have the golden touch. A lot of the worst thing that happens to you is the people that surround you. And they go, my God, you're a genius. You're absolutely brilliant. And then you want to bounce ideas off of them. And they're telling you how great you are. You see that with a lot of celebrities. If everything is easy in life, if everyone loves what you're going to do, and you have no enemies, you have no opposition, nothing to resist, you're just going to be mush. You're not going to amount to anything. You're not going to be able to push yourself. You're not going to be able to change, evolve. So it's the equivalent of somebody doubting you because there were a lot of doubters around. Having that kind of pressure, like we talked about deadlines and having people doubt you, it can crush you, but it can also make you a lot stronger. It can make you a better fighter.